Somewhere, straddling the line between incomparably cool and helplessly silly, there exists a weapon. A weapon so powerful, thick, slabby, beefy, meaty, juicy, and long that it barely fits on your screen and covers your opponent's character up when you're fighting them.
Yo, is that it?
Yeah.
A weapon so steeped in nerd culture, it elicits groans of delight from streamers across the land, and simultaneously, a weapon so deeply at the heart of the Elden Ring PvP experience. This weapon, of course, is the mighty GUGS. Let's just calm down a little bit. What other instrument of death could bring on such a powerful reaction? GUTS Colossal Sword, GUTS Ultra Greatsword, or simply Greatsword has been belovingly abbreviated GUGS since the start of Elden Ring. And if you don't know the mythology of GUGS, you're in for a story of a weapon that's responsible for more crouch poke vortexes than G9 invading on a PSN sale day. GUTS Greatsword perfectly encapsulates the crossover appeal of Elden Ring, combining the oft-overlapped Souls game with the legendary Kentaro Miura's quintessential Berserk Manga. Unlike the Zweihander, which is a reminder of the game creator's love of medieval history and weaponry, GUGS is a thing strictly from fantasy, its physical presence defying any reasonable law of physics, with the very fact of swinging it being evidence of a tarnished, ridiculous superhuman strength. Just as George R.R. Martin's influence helped guide Elden Ring and From Software's entrance into mainstream popularity and household name status, so does the presence of GUTS Greatsword herald Elden Ring as not only an icon in gaming, but an icon in the broader imagination of the nerd public as well. Indeed, my friends, GUTS in Elden Ring is a sign that all things are right in the world. From Software has successfully crossed over into the mainstream and created an iconography, system, and presence in gaming that touches on some of the most glorious and necessary nerd media to be published in the past half-century. That's all well and good, and certainly enough to make a weapon worthy of being entered into bellmonk's patented Weapon Hall of Fame. But GUGS is so much more than an anime weapon. It's also one of the strongest and most beloved weapons in Elden Ring PvP. While its history is one fraught with controversy, through all the buffs and nerfs, GUGS has come out as one of the most viable, balanced, and interesting weapons in the game. Recently, I've been going with the classic Cold GUGS with Chilling Mist for duels. Not only does Cold give you over 800 AR two-handed on these stats, it also builds up status quickly, and with the extra buildup in hyper armor from Chilling Mist combined with an offhand dagger, you have a setup that is capable of competing against most of the weapons in the game. But GUGS isn't just a monkey mash R1 spam weapon. In order to unlock the full potential of this weapon, you need to learn to crouch cancel, and if you're feeling ready, you can even learn to wiggle, my best Berk buddies. Because while the running R1, standing R1, R1 true combo, jumping R1, and standing R2 all have their place in a GUGS battle, you haven't unlocked the GUGS to its fullest extent if you haven't unlocked the dreaded poke. Although the crouch poke was buffed, then nerfed, then buffed, then nerfed, then buffed, then nerfed again, it now sits at 16 frames on 30 FPS for the crouch attack and 14 for the rolling attack as of patch 1.09, and it's still one of the best attacks in the game because of its reach, damage, and counter hit potential. As of the hyper armor changes in 1.10, against every weapon class except colossal swords and weapons, which always stun each other, the GUGS hyper armor now reigns supreme. Because of its ability to stun any weapon and win trades, the crouch poke vortex is still on. Crouching during your weapon recovery is one of the ways that you can cancel the last part of the weapon recovery animation, and also one of the quickest ways to cancel weapon recovery. Holding the sprint button not only allows you to blend the animation of the crouching attack with the uncrouch animation, but you can also hold sprint and buffer a crouch attack out of another attack for a much quicker continuous crouching attack. You can also hold the sprint button to blend the animation of the attack with the crouch to start a vortex. While it's not necessary to wave dash or goblin step to buffer crouch attacks, understanding crouch poking out of wave dashing allows you to aggress and roll catch from buffer crouch attacks for even more pressure and animation blending. This allows you to vortex and force people to predict whether you will buffer another attack or try to roll catch them, giving you all the 50-50 mind games that crouch poking is known for. Now, my grandiose GUTS gamers, if you hail from the land of Reddit and your mouse is hovering over that dislike button, allow me to talk to you about the wonders of the crouch poke. Far from being the menacing scourge of the casual arena, crouch poking and buffering crouch attacks is a unique and skill testing aspect of the Elden Ring PvP system. If you learn to mix up crouch attacks and blend animations, you can apply this knowledge to all sorts of setups, from power stance katanas to two-handed straight swords and every shunter in between. Furthermore, mouthing about these setups does absolutely nothing. Instead, learn how to play against these vortexes. The Colossal crouch poke is one of the most reactable, and if you notice your opponent is buffering multiple crouch attacks in a row, maybe don't constantly mash out of hit stun. I know it's hard to stay away from the banana, but I'm telling you this time, bad monkey, no banana! I've recently begun to incorporate an offhand dagger with my GUGS, and this can help offset some of the downsides of the weapon, namely the reactable nature of most of its attacks. You still get hyper armor when one-handing the Colossal, and the dagger gives you a nearly unreactable attack that not only combos from the crouch poke when you're at range, but also poise chips, stun locks, and builds and procs cold along with your main hand weapon. People will often choose wrong and roll the dagger and end up getting roll caught by one of your massive GUG swings, or if they're at low life, choose wrong and refuse to roll the dagger and get deleted. You can also hide the dagger and use handy tech for a convenient roll catching finisher. This adds even more mix-ups to the arsenal, and along with the crouch poke gives you a mighty neutral game and excellent ways to finish your opponent. Bask in the glow of GUGS, a weapon unlike any other. While the legacy of the Zweihander was inherited from Dark Souls, the legacy of GUGS is uniquely Elden Ring. But what other weapons from Legend might we find in the upcoming DLC? And what other weapons do you consider to ascend to the mythological proportions of the GUTS Ultra Greatsword in Elden Ring? Happy Elden Ring anniversary, gamers, and thanks for your support. I'll be grinding to make content for you before and after the DLC, so like and subscribe for more weapon breakdowns, invasion builds, Tongue runs, dueling tips, news items, streams, DLC hype, and much more.